You don't get to stand at her grave and act surprised, Brynn. You signed my name 3 times. Aunt Maren, please, not here, not today. I just love that for you, that you came, but please. 3 times. 1 in October, 2 in November. I know the dates now. A salt wind moved through the cemetery cedars. Brynn set her hand on the headstone, like a witness who had walked into the wrong room. Here's what I know. 14 months ago, none of this had happened yet, and the worst part of my week was a casserole I didn't know how to freeze. Let me back up. Let me show you how a 53-year-old widow ends up reading a bill at her mailbox and learning her own name from a stranger. 14 months earlier, a Tuesday in late September, the duplex on Heron Court, coastal Carolina, the second mailbox from the corner. Della, are you in your kitchen? I'm in my kitchen. Come over the wall. Don't yell across the driveway. The Ferrises are watching. I have a bill from a company I have never heard of. Let me see the paper. Bring it. Don't read it twice on the porch and make it worse. Maren walked the bill 4 steps to Della's screen door. Della unfolded it on the kitchen counter between a coffee cup and a folded crossword. Joelle Roan Catering. Collections notice. Co-signer of record Maren Hollis. $11,200. Past due 180 days. I have never met a Joelle Roan in my life. I have never eaten her food. I have never signed anything with her name on it. Let me see the paper again. She read it 3 times. She set her reading glasses on the crossword and pulled them down her nose at the 3rd pass. Maren, when did Brynn ask you to sign anything? Pete was alive the first time. He wanted me on something to do with her shop, because he had put a little money in. I signed a paper at the kitchen table. I read it. It said, Wedding Shop Business Paperwork. I remember the words. And after. After Pete died, Brynn brought casseroles for 9 days straight. She brought a folder on day 6. She said the funeral home needed something. She put a page on the tray next to the hospital bed. I signed it. I didn't read it. I was so tired, I had stopped seeing the words on a page. All right. We're going to need every paper she has ever put in front of you. Every one. Bring me the folder Pete kept in the file cabinet. And bring me the 2nd mailbox key while you're at it. Why the 2nd key? Because if there's 1 bill, there's 2. Maren walked back across the strip of grass between the duplex doors. Her hand was on the 2nd mailbox before she had decided to open it. There was a 2nd envelope. Same lender, different vendor. She did not open it on the driveway. She brought it across the wall to Della's counter and set it next to the 1st. 2 of them. Same lender, same week. Read it. Coastal Sound Pavilion. Venue Deposit Financing. Co-signer of record, Maren Hollis. $19,400. Past due 90 days. I've never been inside a building called Coastal Sound Pavilion. It's the place Brynn got married in. I drove past it the morning after her wedding. There was a banner across the gate with her name on it. A car door closed in the driveway. Heavy footsteps on the strip of pebbles between the units. A knock that was not a salesman's knock. Longer, slower. Maren, it's Wendell. I brought you the folding chair back. I'll leave it on the porch if you're busy. Come in, Wendell. I'm next door. Come around. Wendell Garber stepped onto Della's stoop, holding a folded green chair and a thermos. He looked at the 2 envelopes on the counter, and looked at the women's faces, and did not ask. I'll wait. I'm in no rush. You finish what you're doing. No, sit down. You knew Pete. I need somebody in the room who knew Pete this morning. I knew Pete. 40 years of parking lot coffee on Sundays. He'd have wanted you to sit down before you opened that one. I already opened it. Then sit down anyway. Maren sat. The chair scraped. Della poured a fourth cup. Wendell, you're going to hear this because she's going to need a witness who was on the porch when she found out. 2 co-signed loans. Both lenders point at Maren. Both signed during the wedding window for Brynn Calloway. Brynn, the one who closed the bridal shop in May. That Brynn. Pete put money in that shop. $20,000 in 2019. Silent investor. He thought she was going to make a go of it. I remember the day he wrote that check. He told me at the church coffee. He said if it didn't work out, he'd treat it as a wedding gift to her father. I didn't know that. He never told me that part. He wouldn't. He didn't like to talk about money in the house. Maren's phone buzzed on the counter. The screen lit up with a name in soft, sweet text. Brynn, with a row of pink hearts beside it. She's calling now. Right now. Pick it up. Don't tell her anything. Listen. Don't tell her anything. Not one word about the mailbox. Not one word about Joelle Roan. Let her talk. Pull her telephone manners out of her like a thread. Maren tapped the screen. She set the phone face up between the 2 envelopes. She put her coffee cup down 2 inches further than she meant to. Aunt Maren! Hi. Hi, sweetie. How are you feeling today? I'm having a quiet morning. How are you, Brynn? Oh, I'm just running around. The shop closing took more out of me than I thought it would. You know how it is when you have to wind something down. I just love that for you, that you have your mornings. How's married life? Heaven. Just heaven. Cody has been an angel through all of it. His family has been such a support you wouldn't believe. Listen, the reason I called, I wanted to check in on you. Mom said you sounded a little tired on Sunday. I'm fine, Brynn. The mail just came, that's all. The mail? Anything fun? Bills, the usual. Oh, honey. You know what? If anything ever comes that looks shop-related, just send it on to me. The vendors handled all of that, Aunt Maren. You don't have to worry about a thing. That paperwork is on the shop side. You shouldn't even be seeing it. The shop side. The shop is the co-signer of record on anything wedding vendor. That's just how the financing works for the trade. I just love that you're staying on top of your mail, but this stuff isn't yours to handle. Della pulled her reading glasses down her nose and looked at the phone like it was a lab specimen. I see. Promise me you'll just send anything like that straight to me. I'll handle it. That's what the POA is for. The POA? The one you signed after Uncle Pete. So I could help. Remember? I remember signing it. Good. Okay, I have to run. Cody's mama is at the door. I love you. I just loved that for you, Aunt Maren, that you have your quiet mornings. The call ended. The screen went dark. Wendell looked at the horizon out Della's kitchen window for 2 beats before he spoke. She talks like she's reading from a card. She talks like a person who has practiced the cover story. She said the shop is the co-signer of record. On both envelopes, my name is on the co-signer line, not the shop's. Mine. I noticed. Maren, listen to me a second. I went through this with my Eileen's brother after she passed. The paperwork vultures come on day 3 with food, and on day 6 with a page that needs a signature. I'm not saying Brynn is one. I'm saying I've seen the shape of it before. She brought the casseroles, Wendell. She stayed late. She drove me to the funeral home. I know she did. That's how they get in close enough to reach the file cabinet. Maren did not answer him for a long moment. She pressed her thumb against the edge of the first envelope and watched the paper bend. I'm not angry yet. I'm reading. Read. Take all afternoon. I have nowhere to be, and Wendell isn't going to leave. I'm not going to leave. She read. The kitchen got quiet enough to hear the ice maker drop a load in Della's freezer. Della, The signature on this catering contract. It says Maren Hollis. The date is October 9th. October 9th. Pete died October 7th. I was at the funeral home on October 9th, from 9 in the morning until 5 in the afternoon. I have the receipt for the urn from that day. Della did not say anything. Wendell did not say anything. The ice maker dropped another load. The second one, the venue. What's the date on that one? November 14th. I was in Charlotte at my daughter's apartment the week of November 14th. Ellie can tell you the exact day. I drove up on the 11th and drove back on the 17th. 2 contracts. 2 dates you weren't even in the building of your own life. 2 contracts. Have you called Ellie yet? Not yet. I will tonight. Call her tonight. Tell her to bring the photographs from hospice week. Tell her not to delete a single one, and not to lose her phone between now and Christmas. Why hospice week? Because the second envelope you open today isn't going to be the last surprise on your credit. I want a witness with a date stamp on every photograph she has from the week Pete died. Maren put both envelopes on top of each other and squared their corners. She pushed them across the counter 1/2 inch and then pulled them back. Della. Here's what I know. There are 2 of these. The lender on this one matches the lender on the one I didn't open. After what you read at the mailbox yesterday, we're not waiting on a polite Sunday lunch to ask her. We're going to the bank this morning. The branch opens at 9. Then we're there at 5 till. Carl's on the desk Tuesdays. Your son? My son. He can't tell us anything that isn't yours. But what's yours is going to be a lot more than 2 envelopes by the time he's done pulling. The branch sat in a strip plaza between a nail salon and a closed video store the town had never gotten around to renting out. Carl Pruitt Jr. was at the second desk in a navy half-zip with the bank's logo on the chest. He stood when his mother walked in. He did not smile. Mrs. Hollis. Mom, sit down. Carl, I need to see what's on my profile. Everything you can show me. I can only show you what's yours, but what's yours has 2 surprises on it, ma'am. I know about 2. There are 3. Maren put her hand flat on the desk. Della pulled her reading glasses down her nose. 3. Joelle Roan Catering, 11,200. Coastal Sound Pavilion Venue, 19,400. And a third line, a furniture and rental contract through a company called Petal and Post, 4,800. All 3 opened within a 6-week window. All 3 same lender of record. All 3 list you as personal cosigner, not the shop as cosigner. Petal and Post. Wedding rental staging. Tables, chairs, arches, that kind of thing. I have never rented a chair in my life that wasn't from the church. I'm not going to ask the question you want me to answer. I can tell you the dates of the e-signatures and the lender's audit log column. That's bank record territory, and you're the account holder, so you can request the full audit trail in writing. Carl, the dates. October 9th, November 14th, and the 3rd, November 22nd. Thanksgiving week. I was in Charlotte the week of Thanksgiving, with Ellie. Pete had been gone 6 weeks. I didn't even cook. Ma'am, I'm going to put a fraud alert on your profile this morning. That part I can do. The second thing you should do is request the full e-signature audit log on all 3 loans in writing. The lender has to give it to you. The audit log includes the IP address the signature was completed from. You will want to know what that says. Carl, Mom, write the request letter for her right now. I can give her the template. She has to sign it. I'll sign it. I'll sign one thing today that I actually read. Carl drummed 2 fingers once on the desk and turned to his screen. The printer in the corner started up with the slow sigh of a machine that had been bought during a different decade. Maren watched the paper come out. She watched her name print at the top of it. She watched her hand fill in the date in her own writing, for the first time in 14 months, without flinching. Maren's phone buzzed in her purse on the drive home. The screen said, Aunt Linda. She did not answer until she was in her own kitchen with the door closed and the kettle on. Maren, hi, it's Linda, Brynn's mama. Do you have a minute? I have a minute. Honey, Brynn called me this morning. She said your phone call yesterday was a little odd and she wanted me to check on you. She's worried. Worried about what, Linda? Just that you've been carrying a lot. We all know you have. And she said you brought up some old paperwork. Honey, please don't make this into something. You know Brynn. She would never. She loved Pete like a father. Linda, did Brynn tell you what paperwork? She said vendor things from the shop. You know that whole world of wedding paperwork is a mess. Even she couldn't keep up with it at the end. She said the shop is the co-signer of record on everything, and you might have gotten confused about a notice in the mail. That's all. That's all. Honey, we're family. Don't make this into something. Linda, I'm going to let you go. The kettle is on. Maren, the kettle is on. She set the phone on the counter face down. The kettle whistled. She poured one cup, took it across the strip of grass, and set it on Della's table next to Della's cup. Della looked up from a yellow legal pad she had started during the drive home. Was that Linda? Linda. Script, word for word. Don't make this into something. The shop is the co-signer of record. Same line Brynn used yesterday. 2 women, same paragraph, 24 hours apart. That's a brief. That's not a coincidence. Della, Linda is 68 years old and the kindest person at our church. I know she is. She is also Brynn's mother, and she just read you a paragraph someone wrote for her. Maren's phone buzzed face down on the counter. She turned it over with the back of one knuckle. The screen showed a missed call from Brynn and a voicemail of 1 minute and 40 seconds. Della reached across the table and pulled the phone toward her. Speaker. Della. Speaker. Both of us in the room. I'm a witness to what comes out of that phone. Maren tapped the screen. The voicemail started in Brynn's car, the hum of a turn signal in the background, the soft pop of a road bump. Hey, Aunt Maren, it's me. I'm just calling because Mom said your call earlier was a little strange. Look, I love you, but I'm going to be honest with you because that's what family does. You have been a lot harder to get a straight conversation out of lately. Honestly. Cody and I have noticed it. Mom has noticed it. You are not the same since Uncle Pete passed, and that is okay, that is normal. But it does mean we have to be patient with you. I just love that for you, that you have your routines and your mail and your neighbor lady. But please do not start sending random vendor bills to my mama and asking her to explain them. The shop is closed. The financing is closed. That whole chapter is closed. Honestly, sweetie, you are easier to deal with these days, since the grief slowed you down, and I do not mean that in a bad way, I mean it in a loving way. I just love that for you. But please leave the paperwork to the people whose names are actually on it. Okay. Love you. Bye. The voicemail ended. The kitchen was quiet enough to hear the refrigerator hum. Maren did not move for a long moment. She set her coffee cup down 2 inches farther from herself than she had picked it up. Maren, don't. I'm not going to say a word. Don't say anything for a minute. Della did not say anything for a minute. She poured a second cup neither of them was going to drink and pushed it across the table just to give her hands something to do. Outside, Wendell's screen door opened across the driveway. He was walking his dog. He saw the two of them through the kitchen window and lifted his hand and kept walking. He did not knock. Della? Did she just tell me on tape that the grief slowed me down? She just told you on tape that the grief slowed you down. Did she say the words easier to deal with? She said the words easier to deal with. Save the voicemail. Save the file. Save it 3 places. Already on it. Della tapped the screen, exported the audio, emailed it to herself, emailed it to Maren, and pulled a thumb drive out of the drawer next to her sink. She plugged it into the laptop on the kitchen table and dragged the file across without looking up. 1 on the phone, 1 in the email, 1 on the drive. Now we can talk about what you want to do with it. I want to call my daughter. Call your daughter. Maren walked to the porch and sat in the green folding chair Wendell had returned. She watched a brown pelican glide across the inlet on a long, flat wingspan. She dialed Ellie. Mom? Ellie? Mom, you sound like you sound when something has gone wrong with your blood pressure. What? Brynn took out 3 loans in my name. The bank confirmed this morning. The dates fall in the week your father died and the week of Thanksgiving when I was at your apartment. 3. Mom, stop. Were you at any signing table that week? No. Mom, stop. You did not sign anything that week. I was there. I have photographs of you sitting on my couch on November 15th in Dad's flannel shirt, holding a cup of decaf. The metadata on those photographs is time-stamped to my phone. I have not deleted a single one. Della told me to ask you not to delete a single one. Then Della is smarter than the cousin who thought she could get away with this. What do you need from me right now? I need you to send me the hospice week photographs. All of them, with the timestamps. And I need you to be available for 1 afternoon in the next month at Mr. Eames's office in Wilmington. Eames, Dad's estate guy. Yes. Mom, stop. Read it again. The dates on those signatures, are they before or after the funeral? 1 is the day of the funeral, October 9th. The day of. The day of. Ellie was quiet for a long moment. A gull cried over the inlet. Maren watched the bird climb until it was a smudge. Mom, I'm going to say this once, and then I am going to be the daughter you raised and shut up. Brynn was at that funeral. She read a poem at the service. She hugged you in the parking lot afterward. She drove you home. She knew exactly where you were and what you were doing on October 9th because she was standing next to you for half of it. I know. Send me the loan documents. I want to read what she put my mother's name on while my father was being put in the ground. Maren forwarded the 3 contracts from the email Carl had sent her. She heard the soft click of her daughter receiving them 350 miles north. She heard Ellie breathing in the careful way Ellie breathed when she was making herself not cry. Okay. I'll be there for Eames. Tell me when. I'll tell you when. Mom. I love you. I love you too. Tell your husband not to worry. Tell him I'm not falling apart. Tell him I'm reading. He'll be relieved to hear it. Maren ended the call. She sat on the porch a long time. The folding chair creaked when she shifted her weight. Della came out the screen door of her unit and stood at the wall between them with her own coffee. Well? Della? Here's what I know. We're going to put this on the record. Not the family record, the public one. Tell me what you mean by that. I mean Eames. I mean the bank's fraud division. I mean the state's elder exploitation desk.
I mean the lender's regulator. I mean every place a paper can be filed where Linda cannot call me at the kitchen table and ask me not to make this into something. I want this to be a thing she cannot unthing by sending a casserole. That's a list. It's a list. I have a pen. Get the pen. Della went inside and came back with the yellow legal pad. She set it on top of the duplex wall between them. She wrote down 4 words in block letters at the top. Eames, bank fraud, state, lender. She underlined each one twice.
Eames first. He drafted the POA. He'll know what the scope language actually says. Eames first. Then Carl, with the audit log request in writing. Then Carl. Then the caterer. The caterer. Joelle Roan. She's the one with the lowest number on the loans, but the highest chance of being a person, not a paragraph. If she ate the loss, she has a reason to sit across from you. Find her. Already looking. Maren stood. She set her empty coffee cup on Della's side of the wall and walked back across the strip of grass to her own kitchen. She unlocked the file cabinet behind the laundry room door for the first time since the funeral. She pulled the brown accordion folder Pete had labeled House Papers in his neat draftsman's hand. She brought it to her kitchen table. She did not open it yet. She set it square in the middle of the table and put both hands flat on top of it. Her phone rang one more time. Brynn. She let it go to voicemail. She turned the phone face down. She opened the folder.
Mom, the photographs are in your inbox. All 41 of them. The metadata is intact. Don't open them on the phone. Open them on the laptop so you can see the timestamps in the corner.
41. Hospice week, through the Sunday after the funeral. You're in 38 of them. You're holding Dad's hand in 11. You're at the funeral home reception desk in 3. You are not at a single signing table in any of them. Ellie, I'm at the kitchen table. Open the laptop. Maren opened the laptop. The folder slid down the screen in 3 columns of small, bright squares. Pete in the hospice bed. Pete in the hospice bed. Maren beside him. Maren beside the casket. Maren on Ellie's couch in the flannel shirt. The timestamps sat in white digits in the corner of every image. I see them. Save the folder 3 places. Phone, laptop, Della's thumb drive. Della told you about the thumb drive. Della texted me at 6 this morning. She and I have been talking, Mum. Of course you have. The morning ran sideways into afternoon. Della came across the wall with a manila folder of her own and 3 vendor names on a sticky note. Joelle Rowan had agreed to meet at the closed restaurant and the inlet at 2 o'clock. The driveway sounded with Della's car door at 1:45. Rowan's galley sat at the end of a wooden walkway over salt marsh. The open sign was gone from the door. A handwritten card in the window read, "Thank you for 14 years." Joelle Rowan unlocked the door from the inside and held it open with her hip. "Mrs. Hollis, come in. I made coffee for 3, even though I quit drinking it in May. Joelle, this is Della Pruitt. She came with me. She is my neighbor, and she is a retired paralegal, and she is the reason I am sitting down across from you instead of crying in my car. Sit down, both of you. The booth by the window still works. The rest of the building is on its way out." They sat. Joelle slid a cardboard banker's box across the table between them. The lid was off. The top file was labeled Callaway Wedding in black marker. "I ate the loss for a year because Brynn cried at my counter. Then I saw the cosigner line and I stopped crying with her. Let me see the paper. Top of the file, the financing agreement. Page 4, signature block." Della pulled the contract out, flipped to page 4, set it flat on the table. Maren's name was typed under the cosigner line.
The signature above it was a loose, looping M that did not look like any signature Maren had ever produced in her life. That is not my hand. I write a tight M. I have written a tight M since the 7th grade. That is somebody pretending to be loose. I never met you, Mrs. Hollis. I want you to know that. I never met you. Brynn told me in person, sitting in that exact booth in March, that her Aunt Maren was co-funding the wedding because she always wanted a daughter's wedding.
She said that to your face. She said that to my face. I made her a tasting plate. She cried about her uncle. She said her aunt was the kindest woman in the world and would not let the dream of a niece's wedding die just because the shop had a slow quarter. I ate the loss for a year. How much? 11,200 on the books. About 9 on the actual food and labor. I closed the restaurant in May, not entirely because of her, but she was the last weight on a bad year, and I am being honest with you about that. Joelle, will you sit across from her in a room of family? Not a courtroom, an attorney's office, with a record being kept. When? 2.5 weeks. Wilmington. Mr. Eames's conference room. Wednesday at 2. I ate the loss until I read the paper. I will sit anywhere you put a chair. Maren did not reach across the table. She did not thank her twice. She held Joelle's eye for the length of one slow breath and nodded once. The boat lift at the far end of the marsh sounded its bell. A pelican lifted off the rail outside the window and turned over the water. Mrs. Hollis. The other vendors she stiffed. The venue, the rentals. They are going to want to be in that room too. I have their numbers. I have called 2 of them in the last month about a different matter, and they will pick up if I call them again. Call them. Tell them my name. Tell them what is happening Wednesday at 2. I will. They left the restaurant the way they had come in, single file down the wooden walkway. Della carried the manila folder. Maren carried nothing. The salt wind moved a strand of hair across her face, and she did not push it back. The next morning, Mr. Eames's office in Wilmington, 8:45, his secretary's coffee already on the table. The walls were lined with brown spines in matching leather. A model schooner sat on a credenza behind his desk. Eames himself was thinner than Pete had been, taller, and slower to speak. Mrs. Hollis, I have your husband's file in front of me. I have both powers of attorney in front of me. The first one Mr. Hollis signed in August. The second one you signed in October. Before we begin, I'm going to read them aloud, 1 paragraph each. And I'm going to ask you to stop me if anything reads differently than you remember. Read them. Read into the record, please. Mr. Hollis's power of attorney granted to Brynn Calloway. Paragraph 2 of 3. Quote, the scope of this authority is limited strictly to administrative paperwork associated with the operating business known as Calloway and Lace LLC, including vendor invoicing, vendor receipt acknowledgement, and bank deposit acknowledgement. End quote. Paragraph 3 closes the document with, quote, no authority is extended to personal financial obligations of the grantor or any member of the grantor's family. End quote. Pete wrote that himself. Mr. Hollis dictated that paragraph to me on a Tuesday afternoon in this office. I remember the conversation. He used the words personal financial obligations specifically. He said his niece was a hard worker with a soft head for limits. A soft head for limits. His phrase. I wrote it down at the time. Eames tapped the cap of his pen once against the table. Della pulled her reading glasses down her nose. Let me see the paper. Please. Della read the 2 paragraphs herself, lips moving without sound, and set the page back down. Mr. Eames, There is no reading of paragraph 2 that gets you to a personal co-signing on a catering contract for the principal's relative's wedding. There is no reading of paragraph 2 that gets you to a personal co-signing on anything. The scope is the LLC. Vendor invoicing means receiving a vendor invoice on behalf of the LLC and acknowledging receipt. It does not mean entering into new financing in the principal's personal name. Eames, the second one, the one I signed.
Mrs. Hollis's power of attorney. Granted by you to Brynn Calloway, dated October 14th. Paragraph 2 of 3. Quote, "The scope of this authority is limited strictly to estate administration paperwork and grief-related logistics, including funeral home correspondence, hospice billing reconciliation, and notification of Social Security Administration." End quote. Paragraph 3 closes with the same family limitation clause as Mr. Hollis's instrument.
I signed that on the 14th.
You signed it in this office. Your daughter Ellie sat in that chair beside you. The notary was Mrs. Pell, who has been at the desk in the lobby for 19 years, and whose logbook I have already pulled.
Ellie was with me.
Ellie was with you. She signed the witness line. Her signature is on the document. Maren put both hands on the table and closed her eyes for one beat. She opened them.
Then how?
Mrs. Hollis. Both instruments are scoped narrowly enough that what Ms. Calloway did with them falls outside their authority. That is the legal answer. The practical answer is that she relied on the lender not reading the POA carefully. The lender relied on her representation that she had the authority, and somewhere in that chain, a signature was placed on a financing document that does not match your hand. Mr. Pruitt's son has already requested the e-signature audit log on your behalf. When that log comes back, we will know what device, what location, and what time of day the signatures were generated. At that point, we will have evidence, not inference.
How long on the audit log?
7 to 10 business days. The lender has to produce it on a regulator-backed request.
Eames. Wednesday at 2. 2.5 weeks. The conference room. The family. Brynn. Brynn's husband. Brynn's mother. Joelle Roan and 2 more vendors who are coming with her. Ellie on the drive down from Charlotte the night before. Carl Pruitt Jr. on the speakerphone with the bank records. I will block the afternoon. I will hold the room from 1 until 4. Bring everything you have. Bring everything Della has. Bring the thumb drive.
They left Eames's office at 10:32. The walk to the parking deck was quiet. Della carried a fresh manila folder and a yellow tab in the corner of it with a single date written in block letters, the Wednesday of the hearing. Maren carried the original brown accordion folder Pete had labeled House Papers. She'd been carrying it everywhere for 2 weeks now. The handles had started to soften at the corners. The audit log came back on day 8, attached to a regulator letterhead and forwarded by Carl from the branch printer to Della's email at 6:42 on a Thursday evening. Maren and Della read it side by side at Della's kitchen table with the overhead light on and the rest of the duplex dark. IP address on the October 9th signature. Read it. The IP routes to the address registered to Calloway and Lace LLC, 212 East Bayfront, Suite C. That is Brynn's shop. The signature was completed at 1:47 in the afternoon on October 9th. The funeral service started at 11. You were at the cemetery at 1:47, Maren. You were at the cemetery.
I was at the cemetery.
The November 14th signature, IP address, same shop. The November 22nd signature, IP address, same shop, completed at 9:18 in the morning of Thanksgiving Eve. You were in Charlotte.
I was in Charlotte. 3 signatures, all from her shop. None from your house, none from your phone, none from your hand. Maren did not say anything for a long moment. The refrigerator started its cycle. Outside, the inlet was dark, and the dock lights along the marsh blinked white, red in a slow rotation she had watched Pete watch 1,000 times. Della. Come sit on the porch with me. They went out. The folding chair on Maren's side, the painted bench on Della's side, the duplex wall between them low enough to set a coffee cup on. Della carried a bottle of bourbon and 2 short glasses. She poured 1 finger in each. Wendell's screen door opened across the driveway, and his dog clicked down the steps, and Wendell lifted a hand at them and walked past toward the dock without slowing down. He's giving us the porch. Tell me about Pete on a Sunday morning. Pick one Sunday, any Sunday. I don't want strategy for half an hour. A Sunday in 2003, May. He had bought a tomato plant at the hardware store on Saturday, and he was going to put it in the ground on Sunday after church. He came home in his suit, and he changed into his work pants on the back step, and he put the tomato in the bed by the rosemary. He cut his thumb on the wire cage. He bled into the dirt, and he laughed about it. He said the tomato would taste like a Pruitt for the rest of the season.
He did not. He did. He said the tomato would taste like a Pruitt because the Pruitts were salty. That man. Della laughed once, low. Maren laughed once. The 2 of them sat with the laugh in the air for the length it took the dock lights to go around twice. Maren. Are you sure you want to take this all the way? Maren held the glass in both hands and watched the bourbon catch the porch light. I am sure. I want her to never do this to another widow. That is not the same answer as yes. I know it is not. Give me until tomorrow. I will give you until tomorrow. Maren went inside at 9:40. She closed the duplex door. She walked through the dark hallway to the spare bedroom and turned on the lamp on the dresser. The closet held 3 boxes labeled Christmas in Pete's draftsman hand. She pulled the top box down because she was looking for the lockbox where Pete kept the second copy of his power of attorney. She did not find the lockbox. She found a green folder under a Christmas garland she had not unpacked in 2 years. The green folder held cards. Sympathy cards from October. Birthday cards from 40 years of Octobers. At the bottom of the folder was 1 card on construction paper red, folded twice, sealed in childhood with a sticker of a dog. Inside, in a 14-year-old's looping cursive, to Aunt Maren, you are my favorite aunt because you never make me feel like the dumb one. Love, Brynn. December 2007. Maren sat on the edge of the bed and held the card for a long time. She did not cry. She put the card on her knee and she said 1 sentence out loud to the empty room. I do not know if I have the right to take down a kid I once loved. The phone on her bedside table buzzed, the screen lit. A voicemail from Ellie, 22 seconds long, time-stamped to 9:53. Maren tapped it. Mom, I was at Dad's grave today. I drove down on my lunch hour. I am sitting in the car at the gate. I want to tell you one thing. Dad would have read every page of those contracts out loud at the kitchen table, and then he would have driven to Eames's office Monday morning with the folder under his arm. He would have done it because he loved you, and because he loved the idea of a person who does not get to do that to a person. Do not stop on my account, Mom. Do not stop on Brynn's account. I love you. Bye. Maren put the card back into the green folder and the green folder back into the Christmas box and the Christmas box back onto the closet shelf. She turned off the lamp.
She walked to her own bedroom, and she set the phone face down on the bedside table, and she slept for the first time in 3 nights, all the way to morning. The next afternoon she drove to Linda Calloway's house. Brynn's car was in the driveway. Linda opened the door in an apron with flour on the front. "Maren, honey, come in. I just took a pound cake out of the oven. Come in." "Linda, I will come in. I'm here to see Brynn. She knew I was coming." "She did. She is in the kitchen. Honey, before you go in, please don't make this into something today. The cake is for after."
Maren walked through the front room. Family photographs in matching frames climbed the wall up the staircase. Brynn at 12 in a riding helmet. Brynn at 16 in a prom dress. Brynn at 31 in a wedding dress on the wooden walkway in front of Coastal Sound Pavilion. Maren did not slow at any of them. Brynn was at the kitchen island with a glass of white wine at 1:10 in the afternoon. Her hair was up. Her makeup was done in the way of a woman who had practiced for the conversation. She did not stand up.
"Aunt Maren, sit down. Mum made cake." "I'm not staying for cake. I came to listen." "To listen?"
Brynn set the wine down. Her face changed once, fast, and then reset. She looked at her mother in the doorway. Linda backed out of the doorway with the apron still in her hands.
"Aunt Maren, I want to be honest with you for a minute. I have not been able to sleep since your phone call last week. I have been sitting at this island at night and thinking about Uncle Pete and the week he died. I was 29 years old, and I had never watched a person die before. I sat in that hospice room with you, and I did not know where to put my hands. My own father was at the funeral and would not speak to me for 2 days afterward because I had not cried hard enough at the service. My husband was not my husband yet. He was a boyfriend who was reading the room and deciding whether to stay. I felt like the youngest person in a hallway full of adults who all knew how to grieve, and I did not. I loved Uncle Pete. I loved him. I did not know where I fit in the family after he was gone. I still do not. Maren did not say anything. She watched Brynn's hands on the stem of the wineglass. The wineglass did not move. I just love that for everyone that we got through it.
The mask snapped back in the space of one sentence. Maren saw it snap back.
She watched Brynn pick up the wineglass and take a swallow and set it down and reset her face into the face she had practiced before the kitchen door opened.
"Brynn?"
I was going to tell you something today. I am not going to tell you today. I came to see if there was anything in you that would say the words out loud, and there is not. You almost had me at the youngest in the hallway. You lost me at the love that for everyone. Aunt Maren, please. Wednesday at 2, Mr. Eames's office in Wilmington. You will receive a letter from him tomorrow morning. Be there. I just love that for you, that you have something to do on a Wednesday. Brynn? Save it for the room.
Maren walked out the way she had come. Linda was in the front room with the apron folded over her arm. She did not say anything. Maren did not stop. The door closed behind her without slamming. The pound cake stayed on the counter. In the car, before she pulled out of the driveway, Maren took her phone out of her purse. She set it on the passenger seat. She drove the 11 miles home with the radio off and the windows down. The marsh smell came in over the seawall. She pulled into her driveway at 2:35. Eames called her at 2:40.
Mrs. Hollis. The letters have gone out by courier. Brynn Calloway will receive hers in the morning. Her husband will receive a copy. Her mother will receive a copy. Ellie will be at the office Wednesday at 12:30 for prep. Joelle Roan has confirmed for herself and for 2 additional vendors. Carl Pruitt Jr. will be on the conference phone. We have the room from 1 until 4.
Read into the record, please. Wednesday, 2 in the afternoon. Be early. I will be early. Bring the brown folder. I will bring the brown folder. After what Eames said on the phone Friday, we are in the lobby at 1:45 with the brown folder, the thumb drive, and Joelle's banker's box. Carl is on the call at 1:58. No earlier. The lender's compliance officer will not stay on the line past 3. 1:45. Brown folder, thumb drive, box. Brown folder, thumb drive, box.
Wilmington, Wednesday, 1:43. The conference room on the 4th floor of Eames's building looked west over the river. The table was a long slab of cherry, 12 chairs, a speakerphone in the center on a black tripod, a box of tissues nobody was going to use, a pitcher of water, and a stack of paper cups. Eames sat at the head with 2 folders in front of him and the cap of his pen between 2 fingers. Ellie came up the staircase ahead of her mother in a navy blazer and flat shoes. She set a manila envelope down at the seat to Maren's right and squared its corners. Della took the seat to Maren's left and set the thumb drive on top of her own folder. Wendell came in 2 minutes behind them, in a clean button-down, and sat against the wall by the window. Joelle Roan came in with 2 men in chef coats and 1 woman in a black blouse, and the 4 of them sat in a row down the right side of the table.
Brynn arrived at 1:56 in a cream-sheathed dress with her hair pinned up. Her husband, Cody, followed her in a gray suit. Linda came in behind him in the same apron pattern she had worn in her own kitchen, washed and pressed. Brynn sat across from Maren. Cody sat beside Brynn. Linda sat at the far end of the table and folded her hands. "Carl, we have the room. Are you on?" "I'm on. Lender's compliance officer is on with me. Audit log is open on my screen." "Read into the record, please. Date, time, parties present." "Wednesday, 2:01 in the afternoon. Eames and Pruitt Jr. with compliance for the lender on the line. In the room, Mr. Eames presiding. Mrs. Maren Hollis, Miss Brynn Calloway, Mr. Cody Calloway, Mrs. Linda Calloway, Miss Ellie Hollis-Marr, Miss Della Pruitt, Mr. Wendell Garber, Miss Joelle Roan, plus 3 vendor witnesses."
Thank you. Miss Calloway, Mrs. Hollis has requested this proceeding under North Carolina's Elder Financial Exploitation provisions and under the express scope language of the 2 powers of attorney drafted in this office. The proceeding is being recorded. Do you wish to have counsel?
I do not need counsel, Mr. Eames. I just love that we are all here to clear up a misunderstanding.
The first instrument. Read into the record, please. Mr. Hollis's power of attorney, paragraph 2. The scope of this authority is limited strictly to administrative paperwork associated with the operating business known as Calloway & Lace LLC, including vendor invoicing, vendor receipt acknowledgement, and bank deposit acknowledgement. Paragraph 3. No authority is extended to personal financial obligations of the grantor or any member of the grantor's family. Ms. Calloway, do you recognize this document?
I recognize the document.
The second instrument, signed by Mrs. Hollis on October 14th. The scope of this authority is limited strictly to estate administration paperwork and grief-related logistics, including funeral home correspondence, hospice billing reconciliation, and notification of Social Security Administration. Same family limitation clause as the first. Ms. Calloway, do you recognize this document?
I recognize the document, Mr. Eames, but I think the scope of the second one was always understood between Aunt Maren and me to be a little broader than the page reads.
No, Brynn.
Aunt Maren, please.
No, Brynn. It was not understood between us. I have never said the word broader to you in my life. The page reads what the page reads. Mr. Pruitt, Jr., the audit log on the October 9th signature. October 9th. Joelle Roan Catering Financing Agreement. Electronic signature completed at 1:47 in the afternoon. IP address routes to 212 East Bayfront, Suite C. Registered address on file is Callaway and Lace LLC. Device identifier on the signature is a tablet registered to the same business account. Mrs. Hollis, where were you at 1:47 on October 9th?
I was at the cemetery. I was at my husband's burial. I have the funeral home's receipt for the urn and the contract for the plot. Both are in this folder. Both are time-stamped to that afternoon.
Mr. Pruitt Jr., November 14th.
November 14th, Coastal Sound Pavilion Venue Financing. Electronic signature completed at 3:12 in the afternoon. IP address, same shop. Device, same tablet.
Mrs. Hollis.
Charlotte, my daughter's apartment, 8 Westmoreland Lane, 2nd floor. I drove up on November 11th and drove home on November 17th.
I have time-stamped photographs from every day of that week, Mr. Eames. Mom on the couch, Mom in my kitchen, Mom at the farmer's market on the 15th. Phone metadata is intact on all of them. I will submit the folder. Submitted. Mr. Pruitt Jr., November 22nd. November 22nd, Petal and Post Wedding Rentals. Electronic signature completed at 9:18 in the morning. IP address, same shop. Device, same tablet. Mrs. Hollis. Charlotte, same trip. November 22nd was Thanksgiving Eve. I was at my daughter's apartment, kneading dough for a pie crust I had never made before. Photograph at 9:11 in the morning of Mom at my kitchen counter with flour on her sleeve. I will submit it. Submitted. Miss Callaway, 3 electronic signatures in your client's name, all completed on a tablet at your business address. On 3 dates, Mrs. Hollis can prove she was elsewhere. Do you wish to respond? Mr. Eames, with respect, Aunt Maren and I worked closely during a very difficult time. She gave me access. She told me to handle things. There is a difference between the legal letter of the page and the spirit of how a family operates in a grief season. The page is what governs the lender, Ms. Callaway. The page is what governs this proceeding. The spirit of how a family operates is not on the financing contract. Mr. Eames. Ms. Pruitt. Let me see the paper. Della slid 2 contracts across the cherry table, the catering agreement on top, the venue agreement under it. She placed them squarely in front of Brynn and turned them so the signature blocks were right side up. Page 4 on the top one, co-signer line. The name is typed Maren Hollis. The signature above it is a loose looping M. Now look at the second one, page 6. Same loose looping M. Now look at this.
Della laid a third sheet on top of the other 2. Mrs. Hollis's actual signature, lifted from 12 separate documents over 30 years, photocopied in a grid. Every M was a tight, upright 2-stroke M. Not one of them was a loose loop. Read it, Brynn. Brynn did not look at the page. She looked at her mother at the far end of the table. Linda did not look back at her. Linda was looking at the pitcher of water in the center of the table.
Mr. Eames, may I?
Ms. Roan. I am Joelle Roan. I closed my restaurant in May. I catered Ms. Callaway's wedding in November of last year, on a financing line I now know was co-signed by a woman I have never met in my life. In March of that year, sitting in the booth by the window at my restaurant, Ms. Callaway told me to my face that her Aunt Maren was co-funding the wedding because she always wanted a daughter's wedding. She cried about her uncle while she said it. I made her a tasting plate. I ate the loss for a year because she cried at my counter. Then I read the co-signer line, and I stopped crying with her. Ms. Callaway, did you have that conversation with Ms. Roan?
I do not recall the specific conversation. Vendors and I had many conversations during the planning.
I recall the conversation, Miss Calloway. The tasting plate was a butter-poached shrimp and a grit cake with peach. You said the shrimp tasted like your uncle's favorite restaurant in Charleston. You cried.
Brynn did not respond. Joelle sat back. The two chefs on either side of her did not move. The woman in the black blouse opened a notebook in her lap and clicked a pen. Ms. Hollis Marr. Mr. Eames, you have additional documents. I have a series of text messages. Mom, stop me if any of this is wrong. The first thread is from Brynn to a group text titled Wedding Helpers, dated March 3rd of last year, sent to 17 recipients, including me. I will read 3 lines. Quote, Aunt Maren has been an absolute angel. She said yes to co-funding the catering because she always wanted a daughter's wedding, and she said this is the closest she will get. End quote. Quote, I just love that she is doing this for me. It makes the whole season feel like Uncle Pete is still here. End quote. Quote, the shop is taking the lead on financing logistics, but Aunt Maren is the heart of it. End quote. Ellie, that was a private group text.
It was a group text of 17 people, Brynn. That is not private. That is a press release. Continue, Ms. Hollis Marr.
The second thread. Brynn to Linda Calloway, dated last Thursday at 10:06 in the evening. Quote, Mom, please call Aunt Maren tomorrow. She's going to be confused about a vendor notice, and you know how she has been since Uncle Pete. Just gently steer her off it. End quote. The third thread. Brynn to me, dated last Friday at 6:14 in the morning. Quote, Ellie, sweetie, please go easy on your mom this week. She is not processing things the way she used to, and I'm worried about her judgment. End quote. Linda put her hand on the edge of the table and closed her eyes for 1 beat. She opened them and looked at Brynn for the first time since the proceeding began. Her face did not change. Her hand did not move. Brynn. Mama, don't.
Honey, I asked you on the phone Friday morning if any of what Maren was saying was true. You told me she was confused. You told me to tell her not to make this into something. Honey, did you sign her name?
Mama, please.
Did you sign her name? Brynn did not answer. The room held its breath for the length of the dock-like rotation Maren had counted on the porch the Thursday night before. Cody Calloway put both hands flat on the table. Mr. Eames. Mr. Garber. I will wait. I'm in no rush. But I wanted on the record that I knew Pete Hollis for 40 years. And Pete told me in this town that he wrote his niece into the shop paperwork because he believed she would make a go of it. And that he wrote a hard limit into the page because she had a soft head for limits. Pete used those words to me at the church coffee in 2020. I want that on the record because Pete is not in this room to say it himself.
On the record, Mr. Pruitt, Jr. The default status on all 3 loans. All 3 are in default. Joelle Roan Catering, 180 days past due. Coastal Sound Pavilion, 90 days past due. Petal and Post, 60 days past due. All 3 have been reporting against Mrs. Hollis's personal credit profile for between 2 and 6 months. Mr. Cody Calloway, are you a party to any of these contracts? I am her husband, Mr. Eames, not her counsel. But may I see the audit log? Mr. Pruitt, Jr. can summarize for you on the line. I would like to see it on a screen.
Carl read out the 3 timestamps and 3 IP addresses again. Eames turned the laptop in front of him to face Cody Calloway. Cody stood, walked the length of the table, leaned over the laptop with both hands on its edges, and read the screen for a long 30 seconds. He read it once. He read it twice. He did not say anything.
He walked back to his seat and sat down. He did not look at his wife. Brynn watched her husband sit down. Her hand reached for the water pitcher and stopped halfway. She set her hand back on her lap. "Mr. Eames, I would like to consult counsel before I respond to anything further." "That is your right, Miss Calloway. Before we close, Mrs. Hollis has one further submission." Maren slid a single manila folder across the cherry table to a point exactly between Brynn and Eames. She did not push it the rest of the way to either of them. She left it in the middle of the table. She set both hands flat on her side of the table.
Here's what I know. This folder has 4 pages. Page 1 is a sworn affidavit from me, notarized this morning by Mrs. Pell downstairs, setting out the 3 dates I was not where the signatures said I was, with the supporting receipts. Page 2 is a filing with the North Carolina Attorney General's Elder Financial Exploitation Unit, ready for delivery on Friday morning at 9. Page 3 is a fraud complaint to the lender's federal regulator, ready for delivery on the same day. Page 4 is a notice to the state board that licenses bridal financing partners in North Carolina, informing them that one of their licensed partners completed 3 electronic signatures on a single tablet, registered to a single closed bridal shop, LLC, in the name of a person who was not present at any of the 3 signings. The board will publish the complaint in their next regulatory bulletin as a matter of public record. Aunt Maren, you don't have to do all of that. We can handle this in the family.
Brynn. The family stopped handling it the morning your mother called me and read me a script.
Mama did not read a script.
Honey, I read a script. I did not know it was a script, but I read one.
Brynn looked at her mother. Linda looked back at her this time. Linda's hands stayed flat on the table. Mr. Pruitt, Jr., for the lender's compliance officer on the line. Will the lender be filing for restitution against Ms. Calloway personally, given the audit log? The compliance officer confirms the lender will initiate a personal restitution action against the signing party of record on the device of record, that is Ms. Calloway. The lender will also pull Mrs. Hollis's name from the co-signer lines on all 3 contracts within 10 business days of receiving the audit log and the affidavit.
Thank you, Ms. Calloway. The proceeding is concluded. You will receive a written summary by courier tomorrow morning. The matters that have been entered into the record today will be filed Friday at 9 in the morning, as Mrs. Hollis has described.
Brynn stood. Her hand shook once, and she pressed it flat against the side of her dress. She walked the length of the table to the door. Cody did not follow her. He stayed in his seat with his hands flat on the table, where he had set them when he read the laptop. Linda stood, after a long moment, and walked behind Brynn at a distance of 3 paces. At the door, with her hand on the knob, Brynn stopped. She turned her head halfway over her shoulder, not all the way back. Her voice came low under the cream-sheath dress. "You're going to regret this at my anniversary party, Aunt Maren." Maren did not look up. She squared the brown folder in front of her, set both hands on top of it, and spoke to the wood of the table.
Here's what I know. I won't be there.
After the courier left Friday morning with the 4 envelopes, the mailbox stayed quiet for 5 weeks. This morning, the carrier walked 1 envelope up the path and put it in your hand instead of the box. I watched him do it from my side of the wall.
He said good morning.
He said good morning, and he gave you the envelope, and he kept walking. Open it. 6 weeks and 2 days after the hearing. A Saturday in late November. The duplex wall between the 2 porches was low enough to set a coffee cup on. Lender's Fraud Resolution Office, Charlotte. Della, I'm going to read it out loud across the wall. Read it across the wall.
Dear Mrs. Hollis,
Following our review of the fraud affidavit submitted by your representative, the supporting e-signature audit log, the regulatory complaint filed with the North Carolina Attorney General's Elder Financial Exploitation Unit, and the corroborating testimony of vendor witnesses at the November 14th proceeding in the office of Attorney Reed Eames, we have determined that the 3 financing agreements bearing your name as co-signer were executed without your authorization. Effective immediately, all 3 accounts have been closed. Your name has been removed from the co-signer lines of record, and a corrective entry has been transmitted to the 3 major credit bureaus. The fraudulent reporting will be expunged from your credit history within 45 days. A separate restitution action will proceed against the signing party of record. We regret the harm this matter has caused you, and we thank you for the documentation that allowed us to act quickly.
Read the last line again. We regret the harm this matter has caused you, and we thank you for the documentation that allowed us to act quickly. 26 years of paralegal work, and I never once read a lender apologize for anything in writing. Della, I'm walking inside with this letter. I'm going to put it in the brown folder. I'm going to put the brown folder back in the file cabinet behind the laundry room door. I'm going to lock the cabinet for the first time in 14 months. Stay on the wall. Talk to me while I do it. I'm on the wall. Open your screen door. Tell me what's on the kitchen table. Brown accordion folder squared in the middle of the table. Pete's handwriting on the front. House papers. Pick it up. Picking it up. Walking it through. Hallway. Laundry room door. Cabinet is open. 3rd drawer down. Folder is in. Drawer closed. Key is turning. Key is out. Della, the cabinet is locked. The cabinet is locked.
I'm putting the key in the ceramic bowl on the windowsill. The bowl Pete used for his keys when he came in from the yard. I have not put a key in that bowl in 14 months.
Put it in the bowl.
Key is in the bowl.
Good. Come back out to the porch.
Coming back out. Screen door. Sitting down.
How does the kitchen look without the folder on the table?
It looks like a kitchen.
That is the right answer.
Morning.
Morning, Wendell. Della, Wendell is on the path with the dog.
The mail came early.
The lender wrote me a letter. They cleared the 3 loans. They are going to fix my credit by the middle of January.
That's a Saturday morning letter then.
It is a Saturday morning letter. Wendell, thank you for the folding chair in September. I've been sitting in it for 2 months. Keep it. I have another one in the shed. I'm going to keep it.
I'll see you Sunday at the church coffee. They're starting it back up after the holiday. Pete used to bring a thermos of his own. I don't know why we ever drank the churches.
I'll bring Pete's thermos.
I'll wait. I'm in no rush. Take your time getting there.
He's walking on.
He's walking on.
The phone on the porch rail buzzed. Mom? Ellie? Did the letter come? The letter came. 3 loans cleared. Credit fixed by mid-January. The restitution action is the lender's problem from here. Mom, stop. Read that part again. 3 loans cleared. Credit fixed by mid-January. Okay. I am going to put down my coffee because if I keep holding it, I am going to cry into it. Put it down.
Mom. The regulatory bulletin came out Thursday. The state board that licenses bridal financing partners published the complaint. Brynn's partner is named in it. The shop is named in it. Brynn is named in it as the signing party of record. 3 of my Charleston cousins texted me yesterday asking if it was the same Brynn. I said yes. What did they say back? 2 of them said good. 1 of them said she had been wondering for a year what really happened with the shop closing. None of them said, poor Brynn.
None of them? None of them. Ellie, I'm going to write a letter at the porch table today and put it in the mailbox before noon. I am leaving the family group chat. I am leaving the Sunday phone tree. I will be at your father's grave on his birthday in March and on the anniversary in October. I will be at my own house for Thanksgiving and Christmas, and you are welcome at my table on either day. I will not be at Brynn's anniversary party next Saturday, and I will not be at any event Brynn is hosting in the future. Mum, send me the letter before you mail it. Not to ask me permission. To put me on the address line so I get a copy the same day everyone else does. I'll put you on the address line. Mum. I love you. I'll come down Thursday with the pie crust dough. You can teach me how to keep it from cracking. Bring the dough. Phone on the rail, face up this time. Phone on the rail, face up this time. Write the letter on the porch. Bring the stationery and the pen out here. I want to hear it before the mailbox does. Bringing it out. Stationery. Fountain pen Pete bought me for our 20th. Hardback book to write on. Della, stay on the wall. I'm on the wall. Maren wrote. Della did not speak. A wren landed on the rail and left. Della, it's done. I'm going to read it. Read it. To the family group chat, with copies to Linda, Brynn, my 3 sisters-in-law, the 4 Charleston cousins, the 2 uncles in Greenville, and Ellie. Effective today, I am removing myself from the family group chat and from the Sunday phone tree. I am not angry at any of you. I am not asking any of you to choose a side. I am telling you what I am doing so that no one has to wonder. I will be at Pete's grave on his birthday in March and on the anniversary in October. I will be at my own house for Thanksgiving and Christmas, and any of you are. Welcome at my table on either day if you let me know by the Monday before. I will not be at Brynn's anniversary party next Saturday, and I will not be at any event Brynn is hosting in the future. The reason is on the public record, at the lender's regulatory bulletin, and at the North Carolina Attorney General's office, and any of you can read it for yourselves. I'm not asking for sympathy. I'm asking for quiet. Pete used to say that a person earns quiet at 50 and spends it the rest of her life. I am spending mine. Love to all of you. Maren. That is the cleanest letter I have ever heard a person read on a porch. Pete used to say a letter that needs a footnote should be rewritten until it does not. Fold it. Folding it in thirds. Sliding it into the envelope. Sealing the envelope. Walking it to the mailbox now. Della, stay on the wall. I'm on the wall. Down the steps, down the path, the second mailbox from the corner. The one I was afraid to open in September. Opening it. Envelope in, door closed. Red flag up. The flag is up. The flag is up. Walking back. I am not looking back at the mailbox. Come up the steps. Coming up. One more thing. There is a tomato plant in a 4-pack on your back step. I bought it at the hardware store yesterday because you mentioned the Pruitt tomato story on the phone Thursday night, and I had a feeling about today. Late variety, $2. Plant one out front by the porch where I can see it from the wall. Throw the other 3 away or give them to Wendell. Della. Plant it where I can see it. I want to be on the wall when you do. Bringing it around to the front, setting it down on the path beside the porch. The trowel is in the shed. I'm digging the hole with my hands. The dirt by the porch is softer than the dirt out back. Pete put compost in this strip every spring. He never planted anything here. He said he was saving it for me. He did say that. He did say that. Plant is in, patting the soil flat, wiping my hands on my work pants. Stand up. Standing up. Della, I'm going to talk to Pete for a minute. You stay on the wall. I'm on the wall.
Pete, there is a late tomato going in by the front porch today. I bought it on clearance because I am a Pruitt now in the way you used to mean it. I locked the file cabinet this morning for the first time since you went. I put the key in the bowl on the windowsill where you used to put yours. I wrote a letter to the family and I mailed it. I am not going to your niece's anniversary party. I am not going to be the woman who signs a page she did not read. I am going to sit on the porch on Sunday and drink coffee out of your thermos at the church parking lot with Wendell Garber, and I am going to come home and eat a sandwich at my own table. That is the size of the life I want now. Here's what I know. The paper said my name. I put it back. Maren. Della. The kettle is whistling inside your kitchen. I set it before I came out. Go get it. Going to get it.